morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at the top 10 Pokemon cards from Infinity Zone. That's right, that set is out. We have now looked at every single card in the set. So it's time to sit and count down the top 10. Now, I feel very, very confident about number 1 and number 2. Outside of that, I feel confident with the list. I don't feel confident about the ordering. And there are a bunch of really good ones that just missed. The Hooper that does 90 for a single energy as long as it became active this turn. It is the Darkness version of Zapdos, and given how good Zapdos was, I feel like it's a pretty good bet that this will be really quite good as well. Houndoom V does 200 damage for free energy, bearing in mind that's just Welder and attachment for the turn, as long as you've got a damaged fire Pokemon on your bench, and as we're going to see later in the video, that is not a particularly difficult thing to pull off, so that strikes me as one that could be just overbearing, doing 200 so gosh darned quickly. We've got Birdkeeper, that new supporter card that lets you switch and draw free cards, and then gives you access to a whole bunch of free attacks, like for instance the Swanna that does 140 damage as long as you discard a card from your hand for 0 energy. Yeah, that's pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty good. And then we've got Greedent, one of my personal favourites. Greedent literally just does 100 damage and flicks back to your hand. Very much the new version of Mean Chow. Except because you've got Twin Energy, you can do this really quite easily, and it becomes the best hit and run Pokemon we've got in the game at the moment. I love all of those cards. None of them made the list. In at number 11, I'm cheating, sorry, we've got Salamence V and Salamence VMAX. Now, Salamence V is the one I really like here. Free colorless energy, and you do 30 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. And I really, really like this here with Welder. My theory is you go second, your opponent's had one turn with no supporter, you Welder, attach an energy, and all of a sudden you're doing 30 to all of your opponent's Pokemon until they KO Salamence. That feels like it can overwhelm very quickly. The VMAX for one colorless energy does 40 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, and this is what you're going to use to take out stuff like Jirachi and Galarian Zigzagoon and all of those really annoying 70 HP Pokemon. Plus both of them have attacks that can do decent damage for 4 energy. I like it. I really like it. But it's not good enough for the list proper. In at number 10, we've got Copperajah. And when this was revealed, the general consensus around the community was, wait, that's a single prize Pokemon that might actually be viable. It's got 190 HP, which is gigantic for a stage 1. It's got an ability that makes it immune to all special conditions. And then for 4 energy, it does 120 damage. But if any of your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on at all, and we'll see in a minute it's not difficult to pull off, then you do 240 damage instead. Plus, you can use Twin Energy, plus you're a Metal Pokemon, so you can use Metal Saucer, and then you got stuff like Metal Goggles to reduce the damage done to you, etc. And you've got an absolutely gigantic Pokemon that's immune to special conditions, hitting 240 damage. I cannot be the only one that thinks that sounds like it could end up being pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. This seems like one that's got a pretty good chance. In at number 9, and some people will think this shouldn't be on the list, some people will think it should be way higher, it's Turbo Patch. Turbo Patch has the potential to absolutely ruin games. You see, what it does is you flip a coin, and if heads, you attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, other than GX's. Yeah, has to be a basic, I should add. One of your basic Pokemon other than GX's. This is phenomenal. This gets you extra energy. I mean, the best way I saw it put was the lovely ADVGYM over on Twitter, who pointed out that this is basically just a reverse Crushing Hammer. Crushing Hammer, flip a coin to give your opponent 1 fewer energy. This, flip a coin to give yourself 1 more energy. And are we really supposed to believe that loads and loads and loads of people are more than happy to play Crushing Hammer, but nobody's going to play Reverse Crushing Hammer? Not buying it, ladies and gentlemen. This seems like the kind of card which is going to see a lot of play. Go team. Could be wrong, and it is on a flip, but I love it. In at number 8, we've got Rose. You see, Rose is a very nice new supporter card that lets you attach up to 2 basic energy from your discard pile to one of your VMAXs, and then you have to discard your hand. Don't worry, we'll see a good answer to that in a moment. So what you've got here is 2 energy onto a Pokemon VMAX. That is enough to pay for a Dragapult right off the bat. It won't pay for a Stonejourner, but it will if you then attach an energy from your hand. This is going to give speed and consistency to VMAXs that didn't have it before, and it's going to take some of these VMAXs that at the moment we look at and go, yeah, they're not quite good enough, and it's going to make them good enough. In at number 7, we've got PUERS, another card which may well end up just being far, far too low. It lets you search for a Darkness Pokemon and an energy card. But it is an energy card. It is any energy. That could be capture energy to go and get yourself an extra basic. It could be the aforementioned twin energy. It could just be a basic energy of any type. But it could also be one of these special energies that's really hard to search out. Plus, of course, you then get yourself a Darkness Pokemon, and let's just say there's a Darkness Pokemon further up the list, which is going to really benefit from this. In at number 6, we've got Dracovish. Now, Dracovish is exactly the kind of card which will single-handedly win matchups. You see, what it does, if it's in your active, you stop your opponent evolving Pokemon from their hand. They cannot play Pokemon from their hand to evolve any of their Pokemon. Oh. If you're playing against something like, Excadrill's quite trendy at the moment. If you're playing against Excadrill and you get this out before your opponent evolves into an Excadrill, you win. Straight away. Because they don't have any other backup attackers, and the attack, free energy 120 is fine, it's not spectacular, but if you're against an evolution deck that relies on evolving, and you just stop them evolving, They literally can't win the game. The last time we had a Pokemon like this, it was Archeops. And Archeops worked on the bench, not just in the active. And you had Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick to get it out turn 1 going first. Yes, obviously Archeops was better, but Archeops was also good enough to be literally banned. Make no mistake about it, this is a rather phenomenal card that is going to wreck some matchups. In at number 5, a card that is going to see a huge amount of play, it's Toughness Mantle. Toughness Mantle is a phenomenal card, or powerful mantle, as Joe from the lovely Cerebi.net, one of the translators we use, has called it Powerful Mantle, and the lovely Antoine Boulet, I believe, put it as Toughness Mantle. Either way, it is a Pokemon tool card that gives each of your, the basic Pokemon it's attached to, 50 HP. An extra 50 HP to a basic non-GX Pokemon. Oh. This is going to change some stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to change some stuff. This means you're going to have an extra 50 HP on that Spiritomb. You know, the one that does an extra 30 damage for each damage counter it's got on it. It means that Blacephalon deck goes from having 120 HP to 170 HP. Make no mistake about it, basic non-GX decks are going to love this. This is going to see a huge amount of play. In at number 4, we've got Decidueye. And Decidueye's got Safeguard. Except it's the new Safeguard. You prevent all damage done to it by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon V and Pokemon GX. So it's immune to GXs and it's immune to Pokemon Vs. Oh. Yeah, I mean, the attack is fine. 2 energy, 90 to the active, 20 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It's fine, but it's nothing particularly spectacular. But you're immune to Pokemon Vs and immune to Pokemon GXs. And the format at the moment is overwhelmingly Vs and GXs. Yeah, sure, you might have to play something else to deal with those other pesky Pokemon. But when the format at the moment is stuff like Zacian and Dragapult and Pikachu and Zekrom and a whole bunch of other Vs and GXs, you're on to a winner. I expect to see Decidueye seeing a lot of play and appearing up at the top tables. In at number 3, I'm cheating a bit. I'm going Rose Tower and Spikemuth. These are the 2 new stadiums in the card, and they are both flat out phenomenal. Now, starting off with Rose Tower, this is the more generic, the one that's going to see play in the widest variety of decks. It is literally the old Oranguru as a stadium. Once during each player's turn, they may draw until they've got 3 cards in their hand. Firstly, this is consistency. Secondly, this is a great counter, something to prepare yourself against a reset stamp. Sure, your opponent can get rid of the stadium and then play a reset stamp, but now you're asking them to have a way to get rid of the stadium and the reset stamp at the perfect time, rather than just the reset stamp. That's pretty gosh darned awesome. And then, of course, we got those cards like Rose we saw earlier that accelerates 2 energy if you discard your entire hand. Well, discard your hand with Rose and then draw back up to 3 with Rose Tower. That sounds pretty good to me, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds pretty good to me. The other one we've got is Spikemuth, and I love this. This one says that whenever a Pokemon returns to the bench during that player's turn, you put 2 damage counters on it. And the wording is very important here, because it works for both retreating Pokemon and switching Pokemon. And it damages. Spiritomb wants damage on, this will help it. Houndoom V needs one of your bench Pokemon to be damaged, that's a fire type, this'll do it. Copperajah needs one of your bench Pokemon to be damaged, this'll do it. There are a bunch of Pokemon we have around at the moment that need itself or another of your Pokemon to be damaged. Spikemuth will do it. It's not going to see play in every deck, but there are going to be a number of decks that really, really use this, by which I mean they wouldn't be viable without it. But then we get to numbers 1 and 2 on the list, and I don't think you can really argue with number 1 and 2. I think the other 8 we've looked at are the other 8, though I could easily quibble on the order for the rest of the day. I mean, I've got stuff to do, but if I wasn't so busy, I could. But I think 1 and 2 are 1 and 2. In at number 2, it's Eternatus VMAX. And maybe this is being overblown, maybe the hype is too high, maybe it's not actually going to end up being quite as good as it could be, but it looks amazing, and the early word out of Japan is it's starting to do pretty well. Now, Eternatus V is fine, it's nothing particularly special. I do like the fact that for 1 Darkness Energy, you do 30 damage and attach an energy, Darkness Energy, from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. It's a nice little attack. The other attack for 4 energy does 120 or 240 against the VMAX. And I love doing the extra damage against the VMAX, but VMAXs have way more than 240 HP. The reason we're excited here is because of the VMAX. The VMAX here has 340 HP, the highest HP we've seen on any Pokemon. Joint. It's got an ability which is literally just Skyfield. You can have 8 bench Pokemon as long as you only play Darkness. And then the attack is literally Rayquaza's attack. You do 30 damage for each of your Darkness Pokemon in play. Okay, fine, Rayquaza was each Pokemon in play, this is each Darkness, but same deal. 2 energy, 270 damage. Yet, it's phenomenal. It's a great card, and what we're going to see is basically an awful lot of these decks when this comes out, where people just evolve, attach a second energy, and just start one-hitting everything on your field. It's a bit ridiculous. But in at number 1, it's CROBATV. And anyone that's been following my coverage of the set will know there is absolutely no way this could be anything other than CROBATV. CROBATV's ability is literally just Shaman, except you can only use one of them during your turn. When you play it from your hand to the bench, you draw until you've got 6 cards left in your hand. It is going to be absolutely phenomenal. To the point where the second this comes out, you need to go and get yourself a couple. The only argument against it is we have Dedenne at the moment, and you could just play Dedenne instead. Until next September 2021, when Dedenne rotates out and Crobat becomes phenomenal. And as a side note, unless we get another similar Pokemon printed, you should expect to see a big spike in the price of Crobat in September 2021 when Dedenne rotates, and Crobat, if there's nothing else, will be your only option. So if nothing else, get them before then, would ya? You've got 15 months, I believe in you. This is the reason that Eternatus is going to be so good, because without this, how could you play an entirely Darkness Pokemon deck? But now you can, because you've got Crobat. This is the reason PUERS is going to be so good, because without this, you're searching for just some random Darkness Pokemon. Now in any deck you can use PUERS, and you search for a Crobat and a Special Energy, or a Basic if you really want, and that's absolutely phenomenal. But even outside of all those specific uses, it's just generally a fast, aggressive draw card, and we need more of them in the game. Even if you argued Eternatus out of number 2, and I don't think you should, but I understand some people might want to, even if you did, I do not see any remotely sensible argument for this not being number 1. This is out and out, over the top, ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not just number 1, it is number 1 by a huge, huge margin. So there we go, they're the top 10 cards from Infinity Zone, and I would like to know what you think. I'd like to know if you agree. I'd like to know if there's any others you'd like to put on. I'd like to know if you want to switch the order around. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.